Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Songwriting Simplified with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. I hope everybody has had a great first half of their week. It has been a busy first half of my week this week, but I won't be heading away out of the country for at least a few weeks anyway. So we're going to have a little run of shows for Wednesdays and Sundays. So hopefully that's what will happen. We'll have a nice little run. So stick around as we head into the summertime with me here, and we will have a nice little run of Wednesdays and Sunday night lives as well. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about what we can talk about, and for Songwriting Simplified, I'm very excited about what I can show you and talk about on Sunday Night Lives as well. We got some exciting things planned as we head on into the summer. It's going to be very, very cool. And of course, I'm still working my way through editing videos when I get the chance to edit videos, so I can get the remainder of my Studio Pro 8 series up on the channel. And also I've got some other videos coming as well, so I'm very excited about those because I've decided it's about time I start, squeezing out a video or two onto the channel as well. So this channel is not just, live streams. Live streams are great and all, but it's been a few years since I actually put out regular content in terms of videos, other than the overview videos that I do, which I hope you guys are all finding useful and helpful. Showing you just some of the new features that are added to versions of Studio One over time. I started doing those way back in about 2017 with Studio One 3.5, and then pretty much every time there's been a major release, I have put out at least one video as an overview. But if it's like a major release, like a 0.0 release, I usually put out a series of videos because you can't really get them all into one. Or at least if I do get them all into one, it's always nice to basically unpack those out into separate videos, so that, if you want to take a look at one particular feature, you don't have to basically then kind of scroll through the video to find that spot. You can watch the video separately. And also it means that if somebody wants to just send a video on a particular subject or a particular new feature to somebody, they can do, because there's a separate video for that. So I'm going to try and keep all of that kind of thing going. But as everybody here is and probably should be by now very well aware, the start of this year has not exactly gone to plan for me. So it's going to take a little while to kind of steer the ship back onto the course that we were on before, life kind of took over, as it can do sometimes. So that's what I'm attempting to do, is I'm attempting now to basically try and steer the course of my channel back to where I had intended to be going so far this year. So anyway, that's a little bit about what we have coming for at least up until the end of the summer into the autumn time. So it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to be talking more about composing, arranging, songwriting, music theory, and that kind of stuff on Wednesdays, like the Tonight Show, and then of course Studio Pro and all of that stuff on Sundays. So if you guys have any questions tonight on songwriting, composing, arranging, music theory, that kind of stuff that we normally talk about on a Wednesday, get those questions in the chat just now, and then I will endeavor to answer you. Now, on the subject of questions for Wednesdays, you guys have been really good at getting some amazing questions into the chat. However, if you have a question that, requires a little bit more information, a little bit more detail, or you want to suggest a complete topic for a particular episode of Songwriting Simplified, then go to the address at the bottom of the screen here, jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk, hit the Contact Us menu item in the menu bar at the top, and then fill out the form there and just tell me what your question is or the topic is. Go into some detail so that I know exactly what it is you want me to talk about or what you want me to show you. We can do it that way as well, so you're not just having to, try and cram your question into just a few characters in the chat. Although that's fine, doing it in the chat is just as great as well. But if you email a question like that, I will start the show with those questions first. So if, you have a burning question or a burning composing issue or something to do with the score editor in Studio Pro or something about Notion that you want to learn about, email me and we'll start the show with those questions first before we get into the chat. So, on the subject of the score editor and things like that, score editor and Fender Notion, as it is now called, for those of you that may not be aware, we have 3 ways to access notation in the PreSonus / Fender world. We have the score editor. In Studio One from version 5 all the way through to Studio Pro 8 as we are now. So we got that. We also have Notion 6, which has been around for a very, very, very long time. Notion has a very, very long storied history that goes way back into last century, actually. It basically came to the PreSonus world because PreSonus acquired a company based in Greensboro, North Carolina called Notion Music way back, I think, in 2000. I'm not really sure. 2012, I think it was. I think it was 2012 when Notion acquired, when PreSonus acquired Notion Music. And with that, PreSonus gained desktop Notion, which was for Mac and PC, but also a little app that was wildly successful called Notion for iOS, which was basically for iPhones and iPads. And it was so wildly successful that Apple themselves used the program for advertising their new iPad. This is like way back in 2013, I think it was 2013, 2014. And that was the first time I heard about Notion, was that Apple commercial. When I saw it, I was just like, great, there's a notation application for the iPad. This is really, really cool. And of course, Apple basically advertised it as Notion by PreSonus. It was very exciting. And so this app is award-winning. It's not just been featured by Apple, but it's won a whole bunch of tech awards as well. So flash forward a few years, and Notion 6 is now basically in palliative care, in the technical equivalent of palliative care, shall we say. And Notion for iOS was rebranded to Notion Mobile, and then just latterly, in the last few months, has been rebranded to Fender Notion. So what is the future? Well, the future of notation in the PreSonus Fender world is the score editor in Studio Pro 8 and Fender Notion. Notion 6 is basically palliative care, and eventually it will no longer be supported. There is an article in the knowledge base that basically informs everybody that as of January 13th, 2027, Notion 6 will be end of life. It will no longer be supported. So the future, therefore, is just the two things: the score editor and Fender Notion. So, but there's lots of features that are that are very, very cool that are in Notion 6, and there's some very, very cool features that are in Fender Notion as well. And there's a good number of features from both of those that are in the score editor as well. So there's lots of ground covered. So it's, if you are into notation, that includes tablature, by the way. So if you're a guitar player or a bass player or a ukulele player or a mandolin player, and you much prefer reading tablature, we've got you covered, because both, in fact, all three applications will allow you to both write and do step recording and real-time recording using tablature. So you are good from that point of view. So there's plenty of options for composing, albeit they just narrow just very, very slightly. But the future is for notation is extremely bright. I'm very excited about what we are going to be doing in the foreseeable future. So if that's your bag, then that's what's coming. So be prepared to be excited. All right, Sue, let's go see who is here. First of all, because I haven't done that yet, we have a new person who is first in the door, and that is Keith. Well done to you, Keith. You were a full 52 minutes early. Well done to you, my friend. He says, oh my, first at last. Yes, congratulations to you. Beating Kyle and Daryl Harrison. Dwayne is also here. We've got Brett here as well. And we've got the VCR repairman. That's my friend Bobby. He is here. And who else do we have? We got Don Oliver. And we have Peter here as well. See, I know you guys now, so I'm on first name terms with you both. With all of you, in actual fact. We got Just Bob here as well. All right, so we got some questions. So I'm going to get to those just now. So we got a couple of questions. In fact, one question from Brett, who ran out of characters. And we've got one from Just Bob as well, which I think is two questions kind of tied together in one. All right, let's get to Brett's question first. Suppose you want to have instruments playing / implying implying different chords from the rest of the ensemble or band. That wouldn't sound like you're completely out of key. How would you go about doing that? Okay, so there is such a thing as polytonality. And polytonality exists both in contemporary pop rock music, but it has its roots very much in the early 20th, late 19th, but probably more the early part of the 20th century. People like Varese, Berlioz from the French school. Then you've got Webern, Berg, and Schoenberg in the Austrian and German schools. And they were experimenting with various different forms of chromatic music where there's no real tonal center. But they also experimented with bitonality. But before then, you have Holst, the composer of The Planets Suite, which is arguably one of the most fantastic neo-romantic early 20th century compositions ever. It was written just before the First World War. And basically the whole thing is all about the planets of the solar system, giving each planet of the solar system a particular characteristic. And so we end up with Neptune. Sadly, unfortunately, Neptune is no longer part of the solar system. So but it's still part of the Planet Suite. And arguably, I would say that the bookends, Mars being the first movement and Neptune being the last of the 9 movements, are arguably the 2 most powerful pieces, for completely different reasons. Mars, because it's basically just heavy metal for orchestra, and Neptune, because it is basically tone colors and a shifting kaleidoscope of tone colors with melodies that are there if you listen carefully. They are more implied than anything else, but they're there. And of course, the entire work had a profound influence upon film composers, in particular Elmer Bernstein, Leonard Bernstein, Hans Zimmer, but the biggest influence of all was upon John Williams, arguably the greatest film composer that there has ever been. So it's all very, very, very cool. That complete work of music. When I was studying conducting, when I was at college, it was actually before I went to university, I did a course on conducting. And one of the things I had to conduct was Mars from the planets, which is all in 5/4. So I had to learn how to beat 5/4. And of course, I have a huge orchestra and lots of things to cue with my other hand, plus control the dynamics with my other hand, and still kind of beat this time. It's a challenge, and then you have to use your whole body to basically convey what you want. So it's not just your arms and everything else. So anyway, so bitonality. What is bitonality? Bitonality is the concept of being in 2 different keys simultaneously, depending upon which side of the Atlantic you're on. So we could be talking about G and B major, for example, 2 keys that are a major third apart. So if I were to take a G and a B here, but keep going up in whole steps, you get something that sounds bright but weird at the same time. So what I've done there is the first 5 notes of the G major scale, of the G whole tone scale, and the B whole tone scale. And it sounds bright because you've got this major third interval. But it sounds distinctly weird because everything is kind of like in that kind of, that is an interval of a tenth, by the way. So we've got 2 different keys going on at the same time. So you can stack these chords. So what I have here, if we were to think of this in terms of a G key center, I've got G major 7 sharp 5. But do I could also have a B major triad over a G triad. There's my G, there's my B. So you can stack these chords, and then therefore you can move them around. You can take melodies from different keys and you can move them around as well. So that's kind of on the kind of more palatable side of bitonality, G major, B major. If I was to change that to my favorite interval of all time, the augmented 4th or diminished 5th, depending upon your outlook on life, which is the tritone. So let's do tritones. So having done a tritone, I now have a D flat major over a G triad. So in the key of G, we would have a G triad with a sharp 11 because we've already got the fifth. So it'd be a G7 because there's a 7 with the sharp 11 and the flat 9. So yeah, Pluto, not Neptune. Sorry, I meant, yes, you're right, Kyle. I meant Pluto, not Neptune. That's correct. Yeah, Neptune is still very much there, but Pluto, sadly not. So that would be bitonality. That's what bitonality is. So you can imply different chords, and here is how Herbie Hancock does it, because some of his music is a little bit bitonal. He'll write one chord symbol directly on top of another. So he might have E minor, and then underneath that he'll have, I don't know, B major or something like that. So he's implying two different chords stacked on top of each other. And so you can do that with different keys as well. So if you look at a score for an orchestral work, at first glance, it kind of looks like everybody's playing in different keys, but that's because essentially they kind of are because of transposing instruments. So, for example, if we were in the key of C major, then French horns are going to be in the key of F. Trumpets are going to be in B flat. Alto saxophones are going to be in E flat. And so you'll see these different key signatures in the score, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is kind of, you know, polytonal or something like that. It's not. It's just that those are all transposing instruments. That's a whole nother subject. But if you're looking at a concert score where everything is in concert pitch rather than transposed, if you still see different key signatures, it's because the piece is polytonal, which means you've got multiple key signatures happening at the same time. So you may have C major and A major going at the same time, which is a relatively popular one. Holst does that one in the planets, actually. You'll see that crop up in Saturn, the bringer of something. I forget which one it is. And that might be the bringer of old age, I think. And you'll see it come up in Jupiter as well. Jupiter's a fun piece because the piece kind of actually almost literally stops, and then he does this kind of hymn-like section in the middle of it, which is all a little bit weird. And that actually has become a hymn all in its own right, called I Vow to Thee My Country. And then it goes back to Jupiter. It's like everything just stops and we go, oh, let's have this little hymn. And then, now we'll go back to normal. It's kind of weird. But yes, Jupiter is a little bit bitonal in places as well. So you'd go about doing this if you were writing out charts by literally just having the different key signatures. So on a piano reduction score, in the current build of Notion, you can do this. You can have the left hand, the treble part of a grand staff in one key and the bass in a different key. You can do that now. You couldn't do that before, but you now can. It's very cool. And so it does mean that you can do bitonal pieces that way. So you can be in E flat major in the right hand, and you can be in F sharp major in the left hand, and have fun with all of those sharps and flats. But if you really want to piss off the piano player with this whole bitonal and different key centers thing, put G flat major in the left hand and F sharp major in the right hand. They will be very, very confused. Why? Because G flat major and F sharp major are enharmonically the same, as in the notes are the same. They are just two different enharmonic spellings of the same thing. So you can tell them to play G flat major in the left hand and play F sharp major in the right hand. You're playing the same chord. So, yes, that's a little bitonal joke that you can play on people. And you can do that with any enharmonically compatible key. So, you know, just don't do it with theoretical keys. Like, don't try E major and F flat major, because F flat major is a theoretical key that doesn't exist. And there's no way to do that in any notation application. Excuse my snort there. So yes, that's how you would do it. You would basically give them, you would make sure that everybody knows that this piece is in 2 different key centers, or even 3 different key centers, whichever one you want to do. Steve Reich actually has done pieces where there are 3 different key centers and there are 3 different groups of performers, and each one has their own key center, and they play this particular melodic and rhythmic cell repeatedly over and over again, and then at a certain point they all swap their key centers and they swap their parts. It's weird, but it's minimalism and it's fun to play, actually, believe it or not. So yes, that's how you would do that. Just Bob says, how do you ensure the rhythm, melody, and chords support the message of the song and don't detract from it? Great question. Somewhat more abstract, but it is a good question. The lyrics, if you're writing a song that has lyrics, basically that is the whole point of the song. So everything needs to support that and not detract from it. So a great example of this is Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, except it's not even her song. I'm talking about that particular arrangement of that song, because actually the song is Dolly Parton's. Compare and contrast the 2 versions of that song. You'll kind of see what I mean, because the arrangements is what we're talking about here. So both arrangements are exceptionally good. They are very, very different. And they both bring out a different aspect of the message of the lyrics. Whitney Houston's one has a much bigger dynamic range, and is much more about the passion of I Will Always Love You. Right? It's much more about the emotion and the passion of that phrase, I will always love you. That sense of real commitment. Maybe even under duress, that real commitment under duress. Dolly Parton, who wrote the song, her version of that song is much more about the vulnerability and the humility of that commitment. I will always love you. It's a different aspect of it, different way of looking at that phrase, and what it means to commit to somebody. Are you committing to somebody because it's the right thing? Or are you committing to someone because you feel you don't have any other choice? And so there's 2 different aspects of that. I will always love you even though you hurt me, or I will always love you because I'm passionately committed to you. And so there's 2 different readings of that song. And one has a fantastic tenor saxophone solo, the other one doesn't. So Dolly Parton's arrangement is much more vulnerable, has a smaller dynamic range, and even Dolly Parton's performance itself is much more restricted and controlled. And I'm not saying that she doesn't have the vocal prowess of Whitney Houston, although I think that's also evidently true as well. But I don't think that's why her performance is much more restricted. I think it's a different reading of the lyric and a different way to look at the message of that song. So the arrangement is much thinner in Dolly's version. And yes, I think Dolly's version was much more about, you know, loving somebody even if the relationship has ended. It's come to an end, the person has withdrawn, they have gone away, and you're still saying, I will always love you. Whereas Whitney's version is much more about there's Dolly's version is much more about that sense of you hurt me, but I will always love you anyway. And Whitney's version was much more about the passion of that commitment. Yeah, and Brett has actually just said exactly the same thing. So there we go. Great thinks and minding alike. Dave says, good evening. Is there really any difference in calling something a bridge or calling it a pre-chorus? Depends upon how you use that section. How's it used in your arrangement? That should tell you what it is. Just Bob says, what are secondary dominants? Great question. So you have chord 1 in F major, and you have chord 5, which is a dominant. Now, what do dominants do? Dominants do what dominant people do. They lead somewhere. All right, so dominants are leaders. They lead somewhere. So they have a lot of power. Why? Because they got the tritone in them. They have all the tension leading somewhere to a chord 1. Okay, so a secondary dominant is a chord that kind of leads to the dominant, or can be treated as another dominant. So let's take our good friends of every staple pop song written in the history of pop songs. So we're going to go 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay? So our secondary dominants in this particular thing here, if I turn them into dominant chords, but I don't have to, I can keep them as minor 7 chords, is chord 6, A minor, D minor, G7, C. So chord 2 here is a secondary dominant. So let's go through our scale and see which one's a secondary dominant. So we have chord 1. We have chord 2. This is a secondary dominant. That's another one. That's chord 3. That's the median. It's also a secondary dominant. Chord 4. Chord 5. Chord 6. Another secondary dominant. And then we have our good friend, the half diminished, which could also be treated as a dominant. 9. Back to chord 1. Right? So all right. So those are our secondary dominants. The D minor, the E minor, and the A minor, and the B half diminished. Those are all secondary dominants. Now, the cool thing is they can also be treated as dominant chords in their own right. So this is A7 with the C sharp that leads to either D major or D minor. So in this case, we're going to go to D7, and the F sharp there leads to G, and that takes us back to 1. So okay, so that's what secondary dominants do. They basically are the chord that comes before a dominant. And of course, you can go further and further back. So let's say we have a 2-5-1. We want to put another dominant before this D. So what are we going to do here? So we'll do A7, D7, G7, C. So let's go another one back. So how about E7, A7, D7, G7, C. And what do we have here? We have 3, 6, 2, 5, That's what you end up with. And you can keep going further back. So we could go B, E, A, D, G, C. Okay? And then you can go another one back after that. So you could go and you can keep going further and further back. But when you keep going back, you end up back where you started. Okay, so that was like F sharp 7, B7, E7, A7, D7, G7, C. Okay, what's the next one back? So C sharp. And so on and so forth. So okay, let's try G sharp. Yeah. And can we go back one more? Yes, we can. And you can keep going. You can keep going. And the whole thing is, everything is related to each other. Everything is cyclical. And so that's what you end up with. So that's what a secondary dominant chord does, is it helps set up the dominant chord. And of course, secondary dominants are what we would use for getting from one key to another. So 2-5-1, or a 3-6-2-5-1. And you can do that in any key. So let's say we are in C major right now and we want to get to F, but the rule is we have to do 3-6-2-5-1 in F to get there. So chord 3, A minor, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay, so we're going to do A minor, D, G minor, C7, F. All right, so we're in the key of C just now. Okay, so let's kind of do one in B flat this time. So chord 6, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. So chord 3 is going to be D this time. And now we're in B flat. And then now we want to go back to C major. E minor, A7, D7, G7, C. Okay, and then let's say we want to do one in E flat. And that was basically G minor, C, F minor, B flat 7, E flat. Now I'm back in C. So that's kind of what secondary dominants do, is they help you navigate your way from one key to another. And so they're really, really useful. And of course, you can substitute them as well. So one of the really good things I like to do if I'm practicing navigating from one key to another is I like to do that rule where in order to get to the key, I have to do a 3-6-2-5-1 in that key, but I also like to do a little bit of tritonal substitution as well. So, 3-6-2-5-1 in F. And there's my tritonal substitution, my G flat. And there I did A minor, A flat, 13, G minor, G flat, 13 to F. Okay, so you can come up with all sorts of little harmony games like those, stick them in the chord track in Studio Pro 8, and then drop them onto an instrument to create a nice little backing track. And if you've got Harmony Wizard, try using like the drop 2, drop 4 voicing, which sounds really, really nice. Works with 4-note chords. So if you've got a 4-note chord, which you would have if you're using dominant chords, those are 4-note voicings. So make sure you're using those minor 7, dominant 7s, and major 7s, and use the drop 4, drop 2 voicing. And you get some really, really nice voicings. And they will sound fabulous. Put them into Studio Pro 8, put them in a couple of different keys, and then improvise over them. So you're setting yourself a nice little improvisation challenge at the same time. So that is what those secondary dominant chords do. Yes, they can be thought of like pass-through chords. So sometimes you may even see them as a passing chord. So one of the things I like to do, if I'm just doing, say, and I've had to do this sometimes where I'm on a recording session and the song is really, really simple. It's maybe just chord 1 to chord 4. I might do something like put in a little 2-5-1 before that chord 4. So like that. And it just provides a little bit of extra forward motion. So F major 7, C minor 7, F over A to the B flat major. And then if I want to get back, I've got to do the same again, a 2-5-1. Provides just a little bit of extra harmonic interest. And of course, you can tritone sub as well. And do minor 2-5-1s as well. Okay, so I like to do those for pretty much going from one chord to any other chord. Sometimes, you know, it's for me, it's a little arranging technique I do as well. So if you know, I've been asked to write an arrangement for a particular singer-songwriter, they've got a bunch of chord changes because, you know, maybe the only thing they can do on their guitar is very simple chords, but they want to make the piece a little more harmonically interesting with a little bit more forward motion. 2-5-1s are things that I will just put into the arrangement when I'm writing out chord charts. And then I will do things like drop 2 and drop 4 voicings for things like strings and horns and things like that, just to provide some extra color and some extra texture. Just using 2-5-1s. All over the place. 2-5-1s, 2-5-1s, tritonally substituted 2-5-1s, whatever is appropriate for the piece. Actually, even if it's like a country blues ballad, for example, I will tritone substitute all over the place, and nobody notices because, you know, if you make it fit, you don't do a tritonal substitution where the melody doesn't work with it. This goes back to the other question about supporting the melody. You got to support the melody with the right chords. Just because you can chuck in a tritonal substitution doesn't mean you should, because it may not actually fit the melody, the direction of the melody. Where's the melody going to? What's the next note? What has come before that? a tritonal substitution may not actually fit that particular melody note, and it may just sound weird in that particular context, in which case don't do it. Keep it strictly diatonic instead. So yeah, I like doing that for 2-5-1s and secondary dominants all the time. And the thing is, even if you are playing even if you're not playing a chord instrument like a piano or a guitar, maybe your thing is trumpet or saxophone or flute or whatever your instrument, or clarinet, whatever your instrument is, and you're playing a melody instrument, you can imply those things in what you do. So maybe your job is just to play the main melody. Well, in the little spaces in your melody, you can play a little arpeggio figure that outlines your little 2-5-1. So you know your melody might be something which is an arpeggio even of its own, but you know, we're going to that B flat major chord, right? So you could do hang on. So we're in F major, we're going to B flat major, so you might even just spell out those chords. So you might go, and then you might want to do that going back as well. Right? And so you can do those kind of things. And it's really simple. It's just taking the notes of the chord. You're not doing anything clever or chromatic with it. You're just spelling out the chords. Even if nobody else is actually playing them, you're implying them. It's one of the things that, you know, great improvisers do all the time. Michael Brecker was particularly adept at doing such things. He would imply, you know, 3 or 4 different chord changes where there's just one static chord, to make something just sound amazing. So, you know, anything that you do with things like secondary dominants, tritonal substitution, implied secondary dominants, and all of those kind of things have to be done with one goal and one goal only in mind. How does this support the melody? How does this support the lyrics? You know, for whatever the lyrics are doing at a particular point, what is being said at a particular juncture. You know, for example, if you're going to that chord 4, you know, this is kind of all a little bit bright and happy, right? But what if you want to, you know, the lyrics suggest just for a line something that is a little bit dark? You can go to the chord 4 minor instead. So if you're going to do the 2-5-1, you'd want to do a minor 2-5-1 ahead of it. Going to the chord 4 minor is one of the most melancholic things you can do, even if you don't do the tritonal, the 2-5-1 in front of it. So you hint at something a little bit sad, even though everything's major. Now, notice what I did there. when I was going to chord 2 from the B flat, I was going to chord 2 in F major. I used the third of the chord in the bass. Right? Whoops. There we go. A little bit Alan Holdsworth at the end there. So using the third of the chord can be really, really handy as well if you want to create just a little bit of tension. So that might be another little part of your harmony rule. You know, so you could do your 2-5-1 and use that third of the bass there, or you know, going to B flat, you could do that as well. And there's my tritonal substitution again. So there's a couple of things I did there. One, as a different way to get to B flat major, was this. I did the E flat over F to B7 to B flat. That's another way of doing the same thing. You're basically taking an F7 chord, but you're raising the third up to there. So it's like an F7 sus, but you're adding in the ninth on the top. So it's basically just a triad, a whole step down from your root. And it sounds absolutely gorgeous. And then if you throw in the tritonal substitution as well, again, making sure that it supports the melody. So you can do that instead of doing a 2-5-1. Does exactly the same job. So one of the key things to making that work is good voice leading. So you can see that there's common tones there. Sorry. And then next door notes to get to the B flat major 7. Okay, so those are basically, that's basically the motion that I'm doing in the right hand. Okay. Another thing you can do is have the fifth of the chord in the bass. This is an Elton John thing. Right? So using that third of the bass for chord 2, and then F over C. And then if I really want to go into a whole 6-2-5-1, what I might do is something like this. Right? So what did I do there? G over B, F over C, A7 over C sharp, D minor, G minor, C7, 1, F major. Alright, so 2 with the third, F over C, and this is a 5-1 in D minor, and then my 2-5-1. And then a little suspension. Right? So that's another good little device for you, and all of that is all based around secondary dominance. So all of that is all based around the same kind of thing. So 11th chords, which is what this is, E flat over F, is essentially F11. B flat 7 sharp 5, B flat major 7, G over C, G over B, F over C, A7 over C sharp, which is chord 5, going to D minor. All right. So there's a little bunch of harmonic devices that actually sound very sophisticated, but they're really, really simple, straightforward. Voice leading is the key. What do I mean by voice leading? I mean, if you imagine that this is a little four-part barbershop choir, you want to make sure that these notes are moving by step, or as close to step motion. Why do we do that? Because it's nice and smooth if everything moves by step, and if they are a real barbershop quartet, it's much easier to sing than big leaps. Rather than getting them to do this, which is not smooth, not easy to sing, right? There are some exceptions to this, but for the most part, that kind of leaping voicing like that doesn't work. It's not smooth. It tends to weaken the harmony. So right, all of that was smooth voice leading, and all of that was just basically 2-5-2-5-2-5-2-5-1 in B major. Basically, G half diminished, C7 flat 9, F minor, B flat 7, E flat minor, A flat 13, D flat minor, G flat 7 to B major 7 flat 5, or C flat major 7 flat 5. So smooth voice leading is the key to making something that isn't sophisticated sound sophisticated. And, then when you are using sophisticated harmony like that, everything sounds just as smooth. Dave says, not to digress, but I have been listening to Chet Atkins. I like Chet Atkins as well. And I think he might be a good example of these principles as applies to guitar. Yeah, Chet Atkins was a fantastic fingerstyle guitar player, no question about that. Had a massive impact upon a great number of guitar players, including people like Tommy Emmanuel. Tommy I know actually quite well. I've met him a fair few times. He ended up coming up to Scotland a few times, and my parents saw him in Edinburgh, and then they saw him in Fife, I think 4 or 5 times. And so they actually got to know him, so he actually kind of became a friend of the family. So I know Tommy reasonably well. I've met him a few times. And he's a terrific guitar player, and his late brother was also a terrific guitar player. And both of them were quite considerably influenced by Chet Atkins. So, all right, so that is the end of the show, folks. Good questions again, as usual. Thank you very much to Brett and Bob for those questions, and some of the other folks there for kind of like leading questions after that. All right, so we'll be back here on Sunday for Sunday Night Live. So if you've got your Studio Pro questions, and also if you want to see new things added to Studio Pro, we can talk about those things as well. But between now and then, on Friday, we have the UK Studio Pro meetup, the first of the new Studio Pro meetups, and it starts right here in Scotland, which of course warms my patriotic heart immensely that we are starting with Scotland for the Studio Pro meetups. It's fantastic. I love it. So we'll be here on Friday at 8 p.m. British summertime. So work that out for what your time zone is. Go on dateandtime.com and you'll be able to figure it out there. It's going to be like 2 o'clock Central Time, I think is what it'll be. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we'll be back here for that. So please do join me for then. It says on the page for the Studio Pro meetups, it says there that it's 8 until 10. You can ignore that. We will continue going long after 10 p.m. I can promise you that. Depending, of course, on the number of people that are here. If there's a lot of people, we'll keep going. If there's like just me and Keith, maybe not. We won't keep it going quite so long. No offense, Keith. But if there's a good number of people here, we'll just keep it going for as long as people want to keep talking and asking questions and all of that kind of stuff. So yes, if you have feature requests, things that you want to see in the future of Studio Pro, then get them in. We can talk about those on Friday, and we can extend that conversation into Sunday as well. So I will see you folks on Friday for the UK Studio Pro meetup back here, but we'll be doing that on Zoom, not on YouTube. Okay, so not on YouTube. It'll be on Zoom. So go to my.fender.com. On the homepage there, go to the events section and you'll see the UK Studio Pro meetup there. Billy has dropped a link in the chat, so grab that link and save it, bookmark it, and all the details for getting into the Zoom will be there because there is a password that you need. So grab those from there. Mike is here, my dear friend who stays in the Philippines but is currently back home in the US for a short while. He's here, and unfortunately he's missed pretty much all of the show. Sorry about that, Mike, but I'm glad you joined me anyway, so thank you for that. I'll see you then, folks. Have a good one. Good night.